Birch Bay. And really what I'm interested in is, how is it that your name, I mean, you're 22 years old, that's very unusual for us. I mean, apparently you're the youngest ever. How did that happen?
What am I doing here?
What are you doing here? Exactly. So,
bank statement?
so yes, how did you get here?
Well, you said Mark is your name,
Yes.
right? Mark, that's again, I'm sure you're not the only person probably in the room or the county that's wondered that exact same thing. You know, I grew up here in Ferndale in Whatcom County, raising goats, chickens, horses, and I remember, you know, knocking doors for Senator Doug Erickson, for our former representative here, Luann Van Werven, and I've always loved sort of the process. One of the things I've always heard people say, whether they're Republican, whether they're Democrat, whatever it is that we need to get young people involved, because the decisions being made right now in Seattle and Olympia and Washington, D.C. are going to affect my generation. In many ways, more than they're going to affect some of the people in this room. And so that's why it's important for us to have somebody, I think, with fresh ideas. And so I believe that early on, you know, knocking doors as a 12-year-old kid, and ever since I was 13, I wanted to be a constitutional attorney. So I wanted to go to law school, practice federal constitutional advocacy, because I guess I was just a nerd growing up and I like to read the Constitution. And so I went over to the East Coast, where I went to a school called Patrick Henry College, which is a school that is known for sort of pre-law activities. I studied American government there. When I was there, I worked in the United States Congress, and then I worked at the White House, and then after that I worked for a private healthcare company, which gave me good insight into the legislative process. But you know, one of the things I tell people is that where I've learned the most has not been in the halls of Congress or the West Wing of the White House or the Oval Office. Where I've learned the most has honestly been talking to business folks and knocking on people's doors in places like Lynden and Ferndale, where I was knocking doors just a few days ago. And you know, one of the things that I'm reminded of is just that it's important to hear the different perspectives of escaping sort of the political bubble and hearing what people's needs are. And so I would have never thought that I would be in this specific position. But when Senator Doug Erickson passed away, I was just very interested in saying, how can we pick somebody that has a voice for our future, that is focused on providing new ideas and fresh ideas, cutting through the red versus blue mentality, rolling up our sleeves and figuring out what we need to do to address the long-term problems in Olympia. And so it has been the honor of a lifetime, never something I would have imagined to be able to represent Whatcom County at this age in the place that I grew up.
Yeah, I'm a senior at Lynden High School, and I just want to say I think it's so great to see a young person who's in the position that you are, and I just want to ask what advice you would give to other young people for them to be able to get involved.
Well, first of all, I think we should all give Danae a hand of applause for because we need to have young people that are involved in the process, like I mentioned earlier. Well, I guess one of the things I would just say is don't let anybody discount you for your youth. It's one of the lessons that I learned, whether it was at the White House or in Congress, is I've never asked anybody for a free pass because I'm young. I've just never asked anybody to discount me because I'm young either. I've always said that I just want you to judge me on the same metrics you judge anybody else by. The content of my character, the quality of my ideas. And again, the very fact that you're here today is proof that you're involved in the process, that you care about your future and about our future in Whatcom County. So don't let somebody discount you because you're young. We can accomplish incredible things, and I think we need to. I think one of the reasons we get so little from our current generation oftentimes is because we expect so little. And so we need to find ways. I forgot who it was that mentioned it earlier, but I mean, if you look at American history, young people have accomplished incredible things in the past. Somebody the other day told me, so this might be fact checkable, I haven't personally verified it, that I think it was Joan of Arc was essentially a general and had received an award by the age of 14 or 17 years old. I mean, young people can accomplish incredible things, and we can make a difference. You know, there's an old story about an old man who was walking along the ocean, and he sees a young boy who's picking up starfish, and he's throwing them back into the ocean because the tide was out. And the old man asked and said, well, what are you doing? You can't make a difference. There's hundreds and hundreds of starfish, and this happens all the time. What difference can you make? And the young boy throws the starfish back into the water, and he says, what difference can I make? Well, I think I made a difference to that one. it's a reminder that the little things that we do in our life can be a huge difference. And the other, I guess, thing I would just mention about that, I think it was, I forget who it was, which president that mentioned it. I think it was President Reagan who said, all change begins at the dinner table, right? We need to be having these conversations about our future at the dinner table with our friends and family, because I think there's a disconnect. There's an apathy in our current generation, and if we allow it to continue, we have to remember that our freedom in this country is not free. It's not something that was magically granted to us. It's not something that runs in our bloodstream. It's something that is fought for and something that is protected, and we have to be willing to fight for it, to cultivate it, and to be willing to defend our freedom. President Lincoln remarked that America will never be destroyed from the outside, but if we falter and if we lose our freedom, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. So we have to be willing, as young people and people in all generations, to be involved in the process and to have a stake in our future. Because if we don't, then we are going to remember growing up in an America that used to be free.